welcome back to Bio 111. This is Chapter 4, Section 6. We're going to be talking about the connections between cells. You should be able to describe the extracellular matrix. You should be able to list examples of the ways that plant cells and animal cells communicate with adjacent cells. You should be able to summarize the roles of tight junctions, desmosomes, gap junctions, and plasmodesmata. All right, the extracellular structures. These are the structures that are on the outside of the cell. For plants, we're going to talk about plant cell walls. These are the cellulose boxes that surround plant cells. They provide support. They are a barrier to infection, and they also connect adjacent plant cells to one another. And between them, or inside of them, we have these small pores called plasmodesmata that allow the plasma membrane of adjacent plant cells to be shared. All right, in animals, we have a structure called extracellular matrix. This is a fibrous structure that surrounds animal cells and allows animal cells to be in contact with other animal cells. It's made of three components: collagens and other fibrous proteins, glycoproteins called proteoglycans, and linking proteins. All right, intercellular junctions. These are channels between adjacent cells that allow for direct communication between the two cells. Plants and animals both have these, however, they do it differently. Plants have plasmodesmata. Right, we saw this earlier in an earlier slide. These are the pores inside of the cell wall. These pores are lined with plasma membrane, and it allows for the direct exchange of cytoplasm between adjacent plant cells. However, this doesn't mean that cytoplasm just freely flows between adjacent cells. There's regulation in here as well. All right, we have tight junctions. We're looking at animal cells now. We have tight junctions. These are watertight seals that form between two adjacent cells, or animal cells, and they form a seal. Think about like a seal you might have in a candy bar wrapper. It prevents water or other fluids from flowing between or getting in between these cells. They're found in epithelial cells and internal organs and organ cavities. They prevent things like blood and other fluids from moving from one compartment to another compartment. All right, desmosomes are structures that kind of rivet the animal cells together. So you think of things like muscle cells, lung cells, heart cells that have to stretch a lot and still be connected and not rip apart. These are responsible for holding those structures together. And they're only present in animal cells. All right, animal cells have a structure very similar to plant cells' plasmodesmata called gap junctions. They form channels that allow ions, nutrients, and other materials to move between cells. Gap junctions develop when six proteins form an elongated donut-like structure called connexon in the plasma membrane. When connexons of adjacent cells are aligned, it completes the channel. In other words, you have to have a connexon on both sides on both cells in order to have a channel that will be open. All right, so that's Section 6, and that completes Chapter 4. I'll see you again in Chapter 5.